All right, when Linus Torvalds talks about technology, smart people listen. And recently, his comments about AI have definitely gotten a lot of people's attention. So the creator of Linux, the operating system running most of the world's servers, supercomputers, and Android phones, just called out the entire AI industry on its hype. And after 25 years in tech, I'm here to tell you why he's absolutely right. So having spent decades watching tech trends come and go, I've seen this pattern before. Incredible promises, clouded by marketing exaggeration, and Torvalds' perspective cuts right through the noise with the precision you'd expect from someone who's built one of the most important pieces of software in history. So if you're a developer wondering whether AI is going to replace your job or whether it's just another tool in your arsenal, Torvalds' take might really interest you. So let's dive in and we'll break it down here together today. Welcome to Startup Hack. I'm Spencer Thompson. Here at Startup Hack, we love to train software developers and our licensed coding boot camps and build custom software solutions for companies. With a decade of executive leadership as a fractional CTO and 25 years in software development, I've mastered transforming tech teams and products. All right. So if you're not familiar with who Linus Torvalds is, he's the Finnish software engineer who created the Linux kernel in 1991 and led its development ever since. So essentially building the foundation of much of modern computing. So at a recent open source summit in Vienna, Torvalds describes the current AI industry as 90% marketing and 10% reality. And this is coming from someone who revolutionizes computing, and so that's a perspective worth considering. So this isn't the first time that he's expressed skepticism about AI either. He expressed previously, and he described AI systems as essentially autocorrect on steroids, acknowledging their usefulness while cutting through the grandiose claims. So after watching countless technology hype cycles over 25 years in the software development, I've found that Torvalds' no-nonsense approach to technology trends sometimes ruffles some feathers, but I find it refreshingly honest and accurate. So Linus Torvalds is the Finnish software engineer who created the Linux kernel at age 21 while studying at the University of Helsinki, releasing the first version in 1991. Now, he's not just a programmer, but a revolutionary who changed computing by making the Linux source code freely available, launching open source movements that power everything from Android phones to 96% of the world's top supercomputers. You got it. This guy's written the stuff that's gone into most of the large computers that's actually running AI. So beyond Linux, Torvalds also created Git, the version control used by pretty much every software developer out there. I actually haven't talked to anybody in the last 10 years who's used anything different. So he's been recognized with numerous prestigious awards and been inducted into the Internet Hall of Fame for his contributions to technology. So while known for his blunt communication style, Torvalds has he's definitely earned the right for his opinions through decades of technical excellence and a proven track record of identifying what matters in computing. So when someone who shaped modern computing as profoundly as Torvalds speaks about technology trends, his perspective carries a lot of weight regardless of whether you ultimately agree with him or not. So if he says something, you might want to listen to it. So at the recent open source summit in Vienna, Torvalds didn't mince words, stating that, quote, the whole tech industry around AI is a very bad position. It's 90% marketing and 10% reality, end quote. So this ratio perfectly captures what many of us in development have observed, an explosion of AI announcements, startups, and rebranding that far outpace the actual technology capabilities currently available. So having lived through a lot of previous tech bubbles, I've seen this pattern before. Revolutionary tech gets oversold to drive investments in stock, create unrealistic expectations that the technology can't possibly meet. Now, Torvalds isn't saying that AI is worthless, but 10% reality part is the key part here. He acknowledges that there's something genuinely valuable beneath all the hype, but it's not nearly as world-changing as the marketing suggests. Now, the danger of this hype imbalance is that it leads to poor business decisions, wasted resources, and eventually disillusionment with AI fails to deliver on exaggerated promises. Now, the thing that's really got me is I'm shocked at how many trillions of dollars have been pumped into AI because nobody wants to miss out. Everybody wants to try to cash in on this opportunity to build something that they can pay once and then use over time instead of employing people, which requires a massive amount of overhead. So my years in software development has taught me that most transformative technologies usually arrive with less fanfare and more steady, demonstrated progress than what we're seeing with current AI marketing. You want two good examples on this topic? Linux, the Linux kernel, and Git, right? Both came without a lot of fanfare, with very little marketing material, and slowly built over time to where they've dominated their markets. Now, in previous discussion, Torvalds described modern AI as autocorrect on steroids, a simple but remarkably accurate technical assessment of how large language models actually function. So this description cuts through the mystique and hype, highlighting at their core, these systems are powerful pattern matching tools and predictive text that should come next, but not the sentient beings that some marketing might have you believe. So as someone who's built software for a long time, I appreciate Torvalds' knack for simplifying complex technologies to their essence. These systems excel at suggesting completions based on patterns, just like autocorrect, but with vastly more data and computing power. So what makes this comparison so effective is that it acknowledges both the utility and the limitations of AI in one concise phrase. Useful for certain tasks, but fundamentally limited in ways that marketing often glosses over. So just recently I was working with a client. We've been trying to get an AI tool to work. We've tried to use it for about 6 months, and then lo and behold to find out that the people making the product canned it because it didn't meet expectations. Surprise, right? We've been hearing this over and over again lately. So while autocorrect on steroids might sound dismissive, it's actually a useful framework for understanding both what current AI can do as well as fundamental limitations that it still faces. So rather than jumping on the AI bandwagon, Torvalds has taken a refreshingly practical approach, saying, let's wait 10 years and see where it actually goes before we make some crazy announcement, right? Because there was a lot of questions about whether they're going to work into the kernel or what, right? So this stands aligned perfectly with what I've seen over the 25 years in software development. Technologies need time to mature, find their proper place, and prove their value through practical application rather than speculative promises. So Torvalds' willingness to simply say, hey, I'll basically wait this out, right? Until the technology matures demonstrates the confidence of someone who's seen a lot of technology cycles come and go. He specifically points out to a 5-year time frame and says, we'll see what part of AI gets used every day for real workloads, right? So this patient approach doesn't mean dismissing the AI technology, but rather waiting for the dust to settle so we can see clearly what it actually can do. Now, if your company is having struggles with getting your systems to connect, reach out to us, because here at Startup Hack, our specialty is connecting systems to help your company work like a well-oiled machine. So if you're having to do one thing in one system and do something in another system, reach out to us because we can help you get it connected. Now, interestingly, despite his skepticism about the current hype, Torvalds acknowledges positive development, noting that, quote, NVIDIA has gotten better at talking to Linux kernel developers due to their need for Linux to efficiently run AI models. So this is really interesting, and I've definitely seen in my benchmarks that I've seen that the Linux kernel runs CUDA stuff way faster than Windows. So obviously, this is because NVIDIA is working with Torvalds and the other Linux development drivers. So this highlights a practical reality that I've observed too. Even overhyped technologies can drive positive ecosystem improvements. So we can look at the crypto hype, right, that went on for a long time. That's actually what drove to the possibility of AI, because crypto funded the advancements of the graphical GPUs, right? So because it funded that, it made AI possible faster. Otherwise, I think we wouldn't have seen the AI advancements we have now for another 10 years. So while Torvalds might be skeptical of AI marketing claims, he remains open to the potential of AI tools for specific purposes like finding bugs. He says he's looking forward to tools that actually find bugs. Now, I've got another video I'm making now about how good it is at finding bugs. Spoiler alert, it's not that great. His nuanced position demonstrates the value of evaluating technologies based on their practical utility rather than marketing promises. So I'm with Linus here. That we really need to see the value of this most meaningful technology progress to solve real problems instead of just a bunch of inflated marketing. Now, Torvalds' assessment that AI industry is currently dominated by marketing over substance is evidence in the proliferation of companies simply wrapping existing LLM APIs with minimal innovation while claiming revolutionary advances. I've seen tons of startups right now who are trying to get investment simply because they grabbed an idea, wrapped the concept in with an OpenAI, API call, and then tried to sell their product now with AI on it, right? I've seen this over and over again. The pattern of repackaging and overselling technology is something that Torvalds has seen throughout his career in open source, which is likely why he can so easily identify what's happening again with AI. Now, venture capital is flowing into AI startups that are essentially doing the same thing, creating the appearance of an innovation explosion. So having built software for a long time, I've learned to distinguish between market-driven technologies and actual really good tech. And Torvalds' skepticism serves as a valuable counterbalance to the uncritical enthusiasm that often surrounds new technologies. Now, despite his criticism on AI hype, Torvalds acknowledges that there's genuine utility tools for specific domains like graphic design, recognizing that practical applications do exist amid the exaggerations. Now, I'm going to make a video next here about what where I see this going to really impact some industries. So I think about when you talk about lawyers, I think the ability to do the pattern matching and the ability to take large amounts of data and to be able to do things like contract work is going to be huge. So what's often overlooked in AI discussions is that there is some successful application typically requires extensive human expertise to define the appropriate problems, right? So you can tell AI to generate a contract, but if you give it the wrong inputs, it's going to give you the wrong outputs. So in Torvalds' perspective, it reminds us to focus on what AI tools can do today. Now, for software developers concerned about AI replacing their jobs, Torvalds' perspective offers important context. These tools are helpful assistant technologies rather than complete replacements for human development. And remember, this guy has been developing on kernel development for almost 30 years. So I've found that the tools that assist developers in being more productive are fundamentally different from technologies that replace developers entirely. And so far, we've had a lot of talk around no code, low code, and other things that are going to replace developers. And surprise, they still haven't. Developers are still always in the top 10 list on every list. So when Torvalds describes AI as autocorrect on steroids, he's highlighting its role as a productivity enhancer that still requires human direction. So the most effective use of AI coding tools I've seen involve developers using them to handle routine tasks like boilerplate code or writing out base classes, right? But those design decisions, expertise in architecture, and problem framing, areas where human judgment remains essential. So successful integration of AI into development workflows requires understanding both its capabilities and its limitations. And this is precisely the balanced view that Torvalds talks about here. Now, again, if your company is having a hard time getting systems to connect and there's no balance in the company because you've got different silos of data, reach out to us because here at Startup Hack, our specialty is connecting those siloed data. So check out startuphack.com/Spencer because we'd love to help you out. Now, Torvalds' marketing, 90% marketing and 10% reality assessment of AI echoes patterns that I've seen previously with technologies like blockchain, VR, and even the internet. Having navigated multiple tech hype cycles in my career, I've learned that truly transformative technologies usually take longer than expected to mature, but ultimately deliver value in ways different from the initial prediction. The dot-com bubble, IoT hype, blockchain media, and now AI are following similar trajectories. So what makes Torvalds' perspective valuable is his extensive experience watching technologies evolve. So the challenge for business and developers is to maintain the balance in either dismissing the technology, but not entirely going all in on the hype. So instead, we need to patiently evaluate practical applications. So one element that he touches on here that often gets overlooked in the AI discussion is that human developers continue to make plenty of decisions that are required every day. One of the big reasons that AI will not overtake developers is because of something called context window. When you give AI a problem to solve, you're telling it this is the size of the context, and you can only feed in so much information. What's missing from AI is the context that comes with 25 years or 5 years or 10 years that are typically needed to know about a problem. So despite the AI hype, what you're seeing missing here is the ability to look into Git commits, to be able to do compares on code, to be able to, all of the AI is going to do is look at your existing code. It's not going to dive into Git and look at what the most recent things are and know the business context involved with those. So I find most valuable in Torvalds' commentary is his balanced perspective, and that's what I would tell everybody to do right now. AI has some great tools. It's got a lot to do, but is it going to replace developers? Not even close. You still got a long time, and organizations need to embrace this and understand that they're going to need a lot of developers to be able to figure out how to implement this powerful new tool. So ultimately, Torvalds' perspective reminds us of what should be obvious, but often gets lost in hype cycles. Technology should be evaluated based on its ability to solve real problems effectively, not a bunch of fancy chatbots. Now, what are your thoughts? Do you agree? Do you disagree? I love to have a great conversation. Here at Startup Hack, we love to train software developers in our licensed coding boot camps, as well as to build custom software solutions for companies. So reach out to us. We'd love to help. And here's some great information about our coding boot camps if you're looking to level up some of your skills or dive into a new career, because software development is awesome.
Want to become a software developer but don't want to spend 4 years in college and rack up massive student loan debts? Think you need technical expertise to get started? Welcome to Startup Hack, a better way to start your software career without student loans and years without income. One-on-one tutoring is included so you never get stuck and have guidance through the whole whole process. No technical experience is necessary. Learn at your own pace and in your own space. Starter Pack has worked with local state agencies in your area to make it so that qualifying students can get the program costs covered entirely and students can start earning while they learn.
Starter Pack's .NET Coding Bootcamp was a game changer for my career. As someone with no prior programming experience, I was initially intimidated by the idea of learning to code, but the instructors at Starter Pack broke down complex concepts into easy to understand lessons and provided hands-on projects that really cemented my understanding. The curriculum was comprehensive and up to date and got me ready for my first job. What really set Starter Pack apart was the focus on practical, real-world skills. Thanks to Starter Pack, I landed my dream job as a .NET developer within weeks of graduating. I went from knowing nothing about code to building professional-grade web applications in just a few intense months. If you're looking to break into .NET development or level up your coding skills, I cannot recommend Starter Pack enough.
Complete our 3-month coding bootcamp, gain hands-on experience, and land a paid internship. With 2 years of experience, on average, our graduates are making over $80,000 per year. The 3-month program includes technologies from Microsoft, Google, and Facebook. No debt, just a quick path to earning. Check out starterpack.com to code your